Do 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 do. This movie has flying scenes, and it's very awkward flying scenes. I mean, if you got to watch one thing from the movie Pumaman, it's the flying scenes. So this week's movie is Pumaman, the story of a man with powers of a puma, though he can fly and teleport, which I didn't know pumas could do till now, making them the world's most dangerous predator. Um, as I said, if you're gonna watch any scenes from this movie, if you don't want to watch the whole movie, I forgive you because it's only an hour and a half long, but it's got a lot of commercials through the YouTube version. But you got to watch the flying scene and the helicopter fight. They're not very long scenes, and there shouldn't be a whole lot of commercials during them. So it starts out with this Spanish thing on the screen that I can't read because I obviously don't speak Spanish, and I don't want to hire a Mexican just to translate something. Then there's an egg-shaped alien spaceship because back in the day, eggs were so cheap we could make spaceships out of them. Where now aliens have to make spaceships out of Oreos because Oreos are much, much cheaper than eggs. So we should have scrambled Oreos for breakfast instead of scrambled eggs. It's saying that put power in this mask, only the Pumaman can defeat the mask. And it repeats Pumaman over and over again. Then we go to Donald Pleasance and this blonde-haired chick named Jane. And the blonde-haired chick is translating the mask, saying that if evil gets the mask, the Pumaman will stop it. Which Donald Pleasance which they blow off as only legend. And then they find alien technology in the mask. Jane says they have to tell the press. Donald Pleasance, whose name is Tyler, I don't remember his name. He's Donald Pleasance. I mean, everybody knows who Donald Pleasance is. He uses the mask to control Jane's mind. Then we meet our hero, Tony Barnes, the greatest name in cinema history, who works at the museum as a paleontologist, and who this Native American guy, he's from South America, technically still America, throws out a window. But he's okay, even though he got thrown out a third-story window, because he lands like a cat. And then the Native American guy says he is the Pumaman. But then he meets the blonde-haired chick, and she wants him to come over tonight, and study paleontology with her at the Dutch embassy in London. This whole movie takes place in London. And he agrees, of course. I mean, she's a beautiful blonde. But then when she gets back to her car, she radios Don Pleasance and says it is done. She calls Don Pleasance on a car phone and says it is done. Then we go to Tony Barnes in his apartment, and the lights are off because the Native American guy turns off the lights, but he can see. Tony Barnes can see in the dark, like a cat, or a puma, or a Pumaman. And he almost nails the Native American guy. But the Native American guy's like, see, you can see in the dark. You're the Pumaman. Take this belt. It is the most god-awful looking belt I've ever seen. I mean, you could not wear this at a fashion show. The people would be like, what kind of ugly belt is that? But Tony Barnes refuses, and he gets away from him and heads to the Dutch embassy, where Donald Pleasance is waiting. And Donald Pleasance's men almost kill him, but not before he makes out with the hot blonde, who immediately falls in love with him. Now, I've never had a hot blonde immediately fall in love with me. Maybe it's because I've never had a hot blonde. I need more hot blondes in my life. Now Tony jumps onto the roof, and the Native American throws him the belt, at which point he puts it on, and he is transformed into the Pumaman costume, which does not have a mask. Big, big mistake with costumes and not having a mask with them. They can obviously see who you are, and they can obviously track you down. You want a mask with every costume. Even if it's just a Robin mask that covers your eyes. That or just put a pair of glasses on when you're the Puma Man. No one can recognize you with a pair of glasses. See, I've got my pair of glasses on. I take them off. You can't tell who I am anymore. You think, who is that guy? That's not the guy who was just talking. And then I put my glasses back on, and you're like, oh, it's him. So the Puma Man then flies. This is the flying scene. It is so great. It is worth the entire movie just to watch this flying scene. Well, then he flies and tracks Donald Pleasance, but it's a trap and he gets shot at. But then he realizes he can walk through walls and teleport. But then the Native American guy gets beat up and he takes that whole squad of bad guys, the Puma Man does. Then he puts a radio tracker in Jane's car. And that's how he tracks them to the mansion where the mask is being held. But Puma Man is no match for this mask. Don Pleasance takes away his powers and almost gets him to kill himself. But don't worry, Native American has an idea. Puma Man can put himself into can cause himself to die for 10 minutes. Therefore, making it so they will stop tracking him. But doesn't reverse the effect of the mask. The Native American straps dynamite on him, knocks the Puma Man out, and goes to the mansion, where he immediately gets accosted by bad guys, at which point the mask takes control of his mind, but not before he throws some dynamite into a mirror and gives Jane the time to get her mind straight because her head is destroyed, or mannequin head, that the mask uses to control her. And then she destroys Puma Man's mask, or Puma Man's head that he used to control him. And Puma Man gets his powers again and teleports to the mansion. And then we have our final showdown. At which point, Puma Man tries to use the mask on Don Pleasance, but he gets away through a trap door. And we have the helicopter scene, which is once again one of the greatest scenes in film history. This scene is just great. I mean, this movie is just absolute great. It is probably the best superhero movie I've ever seen. Hands down, better than Endgame, Puma Man. But at the end, the aliens in their egg-shaped ship take the mask, take the Native American guy back to the Andes, where they belong, and Puma Man lives happily ever after. Until Puma Man 2. They never made a Puma Man 2. This movie is great. It is better than Endgame. It is better than Spider-Man No Way Home. It is better than whatever DC movie is really, really great. Justice League, the Snyder Cut. It is the greatest superhero movie ever made. You have to watch Puma Man. It is phenomenal. Hands down, one of the funniest movies you will ever see. Just the flying scene and the helicopter scene make watching the movie just worth it. And that is Puma Man. Join me next week where we will talk about Stone Cold getting 50% ownership of the WWF. And we'll do the movie Sharkula, the greatest Dracula movie ever made.